It's the Weekly Wrap with your host, broadcasting legend Bruce Wolf, and his trusty sidekick, comedian Tim Slagle. And now, without further ado, Bruce Wolf.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap, and not my favorite part of the show, wherein we find out what's in Tim's background today. I'm gonna guess it's Nikki Haley in blackface. Am I right, Tim?
Wouldn't that be redundant?
Well, you know what I'm thinking is I did it last week. You know, it's kind of like that tweener week. Plus, you know, I'm a little lazy. I probably should get fired for that, but maybe I'm right this time.
No, I just
what do we got?
No, I just mean Nikki Haley. I'm not talking about that you're repeating your jokes. I mean that Nikki Haley in blackface would be redundant. That's all.
Oh, yeah, exactly. I see what you say. Okay, I don't even get my own jokes now. So what do you got?
You were wrong.
Okay, I'm wrong. And that is Epstein's Island. Is
That's
that what
right.
It is? Oh,
that's
you know
right.
what? And that was just a good guess because I swear I've never been there.
To quote Bill Clinton, that depends on what your definition of young is.
Right. I mean,
yeah, maybe they were just saying he likes North Korean leaders.
Sure. There we go. It's funny. Up until today, when we're taping this, I had never really, just had been like on the outskirts of this story. Oh yeah, I know he didn't kill himself or did kill himself, and there were some, but I never really got into the nitty gritty names, dates, and things like that. There was Jim Garrity in National Review did like a really lengthy piece on this, and there was just, and I mean, it even goes into the fact that National Review at one point printed something from some associate of Epstein's and has to wash the taint off itself just by printing some kind of story. So yeah, you're my favorite tinfoil guy, Tim Foil. Who do you think did what? And you know what? If it's anything short of libeling Aaron Rodgers is fine, or rather Jimmy Kimmel is fine by Aaron.
I think I believe that Jeffrey Epstein was a CIA operative, and
of course he was.
It was his job to get to acquire blackmail materials on public and political figures. It
reminds me of a joke I'm watching. It's in its entirety in chronological order. The Office. And there's a woman in there who is blackmailing two people in the office who have had sex in the office. And she says, it's not blackmail unless you actually send it in a letter. And it's not in the actual mail.
It's black email.
Yeah. So it's an interesting theory. It does seem to like involve everybody. Well, we're going to get to that later. It's a little tease right now, but I'm glad I at least recognized that. I hope that's a generic island in the back. That is not.
Yeah,
that's not
every island has one of those in the middle. has a weird Greek temple in the middle.
Yeah, I thought it was the Mount Palomar Observatory, where you could just
again, it wasn't. I'm sure it was an observatory. It's
well, right into somebody's rear view mirror or a rear window. So, in the meantime, the big story this week, and it was a lot of fun. Claudine Lange, the president of Harvard, was ousted. I thought she would last. They let her watch the national championship game coming up on Monday, but she didn't even last that long. You know what this thing reminds me of is that, you know how you have those robberies in broad daylight of like Nordstrom's and all these downtown stores, and the owners will like fire the security guard if they report or forget about shooting a suspect, or
sure.
You're not even supposed to report them.
No.
Well, for some reason, this is where they actually reported the perpetrator, and everybody is shocked by it. I don't blame Claudine Gay for being upset. That what are you talking about? I mean, this is what you groomed me for. This is part of the whole DEI industry. This is what we're all about. All of a sudden, you got some scruples. Why don't you? It's like you've ever heard of the broken windows? Rudy Giuliani, did that in New York. You got people for jumping the turnstiles and breaking windows and things like that, and that would trick up, I guess, to to the big cons, and crime went down. Well, I mean, we're not arresting those people who are robbing the stores.
Heck no, some of
now.
the stores are putting
why?
in self scans to make sure that you're not taking more than $950.
Oh, right. So there, because then you've got sorry,
then it's
we're
trouble.
going to have to arrest you for this. We don't really want to get involved.
Yeah, you're gonna have to put a few things back, sir. You're over $950.
Yeah, right. Come back in 25 minutes, and get some more. So I can understand it. Then, of course, you love the coverage of it because the Associated Press, which is a left-wing outfit now, the AP is left-wing. I'm still not sure if they call Hamas terrorists. I'm not sure about that, but they did the typical conservatives pounce on this. Associated Press tweet: Harvard president's resignation highlights new conservative weapon against colleges, plagiarism. Well, yeah. So there was also an AP story. This Chris Rufo's one of the guys who broke this story, and in the body of the story, it says what the conservatives are doing right now to all these poor affirmative action hires is what the white settlers did when they scalped the Native Americans. Well, as it was pointed out, it was the Native Americans who did the scalping. I mean, stop appropriating their form of warfare for yourself.
That's cultural appropriation when the settlers did it.
Terrible. But we're talking about trickle up and trickle down. I think there is going to be a trickle down effect. And Channel 7's Cheryl Burton could become a casualty because she does not know how to play rock, paper, and scissors. And I'm telling you, this actually happened. It was kind of fetching that she didn't know. It must be a cultural thing, I don't know. But right on the set, they were trying to show her what rock, paper, and scissors are. She had no idea what that game is. But Al Sharpton chimed in. He was going to have a demonstration around the Harvard.
Because Al Sharpton's never met an anti-Semite he doesn't like. So,
tell me about it. I thought, in honor of Al Sharpton, we should re-arrest the guy who didn't rape Tawana Brawley. So there's this guy I follow on Twitter. It's an intellectual. He used to write for the Weekly Standard and other places. His name is Sam Schulman, and he got raised it to the Penny Pritzker level. He said, "Let's all wish Penny Pritzker a great career as a docent at the Obama Presidential Center in Chicago." She's on this Harvard board. I guess it must have paid $100 million to get on it. And I was thinking, I don't know, because the Art Institute got rid of the little old white ladies in favor of diversity. So I don't know about her becoming a docent at the Obama Presidential Center. Maybe she could get a job teaching remedial English at Marshall High School to smart kids who were exiled from selective enrollment schools. But
how is Penny Pritzker related to Thomas Pritzker?
I don't know. Is Thomas Pritzker? Is he part of the Pritzker family? I mean,
no. He showed up. He showed up on
Hyatt hotels.
He showed up on Epstein's list.
Oh, okay. I don't know about that. Everything comes back to Epstein, which is great.
my favorite
that's
meme
terrific.
talking about former President Gay is that's been going around. It's a faux book that you wrote. The three keys to success: Control, V, and C.
No, I just right. It's I always said that plagiarism is the sincerest form of flattery, and I put it in the public domain so anybody could steal it from me, because it's the kind of thing that should be stolen. That kind of
like a Mickey Mouse cartoon.
There we go. We'll get into that a little bit as well. Nice tease right there. So yeah, it's nice to. Nobody could actually just say, okay, we did wrong, and just hide it. They're doubling down on it. And I love that they're doubling down on it, and they're outraged that we would go after somebody like that.
There was a time when if you were a plagiarist, you couldn't be president of anything. It's
Well, I mean, really, I would say, why do you need to be a scholar in order to be the president of the university? Which is, as people have derisively called these places like Harvard and Yale, they're just hedge funds with dorms. So what's the big deal? But wouldn't it be great if like the whole edifice came up higher education came down because of this, this little thread that was pulled that they could have done something about right at the beginning. And
well,
the
most outrageous thing for me is that she's still going to be making almost $1 million a year.
Oh yeah.
Which
oh yeah, sure.
And meanwhile, we've got to forgive student debt because college is just too darn expensive. Well, now you know why.
right. Right. Yeah. I mean, yeah, right. No. Yeah, that of course makes no sense either, but it doesn't have to. It does. We get it. She's got it. I mean, you can't groom this woman to be, what she was, rising to her level of incompetence through decades, and all of a sudden pull the rug out from under her. I just don't think that's really fair. So I'm glad that she's at least she's got that, or maybe she could have been named like the president of the University of Illinois or Northwestern. You fall off a little bit.
One of those Cliff Note schools.
Correct. Or she could be the vice president of the United States. She can't be worse than the one that we have right now. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Parents and only parents have the right and the responsibility to monitor the access of their children, and only their children, to library resources.
However, those who support book bans read sexual content from books that have been targeted into the congressional record to drive home their point.
Is this okay for kids?
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. How do you pronounce his name? It's Giannoulis, right, Alexei? He's the, what is he, the Secretary of...
Secretary of Porn.
Is he the Secretary of State? Yeah. I mean, I kept thinking like Jesse White was in it for life. He's either the state treasurer or the Secretary of State. It's local politics. I don't know. They're all fungible Democrats. But Alexei Giannoulis, so he's reading there or talking about this law that went into effect January 1st, I guess, and he is Secretary of State. I mean, I can name you all the American ones from Dulles to Dean Rusk, but Illinois is a blur to me. So I'm not sure exactly what the law states, which is why I'm doing a podcast, because I can afford to be fuzzy with this.
It's not like you're an attorney or anything.
My understanding is that these books with smut and everything, like Huckleberry Finn and To Kill a Mockingbird, whatever, these books will be accessible in school libraries to like 10 and 12-year-olds. Am I right about that, or do you even know?
Is that what those books are? I thought the books that they wanted to get rid of were the ones where they showed like how to perform anal sex and stuff like that.
We're getting there.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, we're getting there, but I'm not sure
because that never happened in the Tom Sawyer I read.
Right. Oh well, let me tell you about Biggie Thatcher. Yeah. Whitewash. Let's not whitewash the whole deal with them. You know what I'm saying? Hey, paint my fence. Come on. What are you talking about? So no. So here's the thing. So understanding that I don't actually know what the law says, but assuming arguendo, for the sake of argument, that these materials now will be accessible to prepubescent people. That you can't do that. Now, it's interesting that Alexei was on the Channel 9 Morning News like within the last couple of weeks, and they did a cutesy segment with him where he read the names of vanity license plates that were rejected because they were too racy or something. And I didn't actually listen to the segment, but I saw that they were doing it. And, it sounds like a cutesy segment, and it's typical Channel 9, not really wading into controversy, because Channel 9 is the irreverent newscast. It's irreverent about everything except the news. But So it reminded me that, speaking of the law, I had a law boss, Jewish guy, 35, 40 years ago. His license plate said Stupper. And I don't know if you know what that means.
Yeah,
but it's
I know that one.
Stupper. Yeah.
I've been in entertainment long enough to know what that means.
Of course, you opened for Shecky Green for a number of years, didn't you? Well, we'll get to the late Shecky in a moment. But anyway, so they had that bit. They had him do that. But wouldn't it have been better to have Alexei on to read passages about anal sex that kids can now have access to? That would have been a lot of fun to have him do a little shtick laugh where he's reading about.
That'll get you arrested
sex.
at a school board meeting.
No, you can't show that on Channel 9, but you can get it in your local school library if you're 10 years old. Okay, if assuming that I understand the law, which we'll find out.
So who was it? When was this that he had the license plate that said Stupper? Who?
That was about 40 years ago.
Yeah, it's
back now Mary Ann Ahern's quote in the news. I'm sorry. I'm because I can't handle two things at one point. Chris takes these notes.
I'm guessing it was before there was diversity in the license department.
Oh yeah.
Back when everyone there was Irish.
Right, the way it should be. So Chris just put up a note that said something that I missed, but it was like Mary Ann Ahern of Channel 5 said that the books are what? Can you tell me? Chris?
She said that most of the authors of the books are LGBTQ and people of color. That's how they were framing the story.
Yeah.
That they were being banned because of that.
Right. But are they available? Are the books available in school libraries to 10-year-olds? That's what my question is.
Well, they are now.
And I don't know what if
you want the money.
Was that a fact after January 1st that this is available to 10 years? I mean, at least put it on a high shelf so that, you must be this tall in order to access anal sex.
Yeah. You don't want kids bending over to pick up the book.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right. So here's another story. Preliminary Chicago Police Department numbers indicate that murders are down, but the crime rate is stubbornly high. While there were fewer shooting incidents year over year, the city has seen many more robberies. I'm wondering, remember cash bail? We got rid of it. I mean, is that a factor? I'm not taking an ideological position on this one until I know what the facts are. But there's that. Also, the mayor and others are noting that murders are down in Chicago. But you know what? They're down everywhere. From 22 to 23, they were down, and they weren't down by as much in Chicago as they were in other cities. So, I'm wondering why. My theory is that like Detroit had a lot fewer murders, is that there just aren't any people left to murder. So, am I right?
There's
about
also
that?
the end of there's also the end of lockdowns. I mean, when people were locked up, yeah, you're going to have more murders.
Okay, I guess so. I mean, I'm not really sure.
If I hear you crunching those potato chips one more time.
So Mayor Johnson had something else. We're worried in Chicago about the migrant crisis now. He claims that Governor Abbott and Texas are clinging to the Confederacy. Which is interesting that he would invoke the Confederacy. And I would suggest to Nikki Haley that this is how the Civil War starts, because Mayor Johnson has laid down the gauntlet regarding the Confederacy.
Well, wasn't the Confederacy about keeping the low paid labor inside the states rather than exporting it?
I'm totally with you on that. I'm just thinking that this is how the Civil War next one's going to start. Actually, Haley, if she had watched Rocky and Bullwinkle, which I'm sure you did, she would have known that to correct the questioner about the so-called Civil War by calling it the war between the states. Remember that was the correct. And somebody said it was the war of northern aggression, which is I enjoyed that. Now, here's the thing. I thought, what Texas is doing. You're talking about exporting or importing. What Texas is doing is like the Underground Railroad, which transported the oppressed to freedom. So that, I mean, they're sending the migrants to the land of opportunity, Chicago, and now Mayor Johnson's turning it on its head and saying, we don't want your kind here. I don't understand. I don't understand it. And, and every time I hear that there's a plane that's flying these people in, I mean, do the stewardesses ask if anyone's allergic to peanuts? Is there free Wi-Fi? I mean, imagine you're getting flown somewhere. What these people?
Yeah,
these
but I
people,
think it's like
walk to here.
I think it's like Spirit. Well, they say they walked, but I mean, there's you look at some of those people, and you're not going to convince me that they walked all the way from the Honduras.
I think there's just like a big Uber concession or Lyft down in Caracas. But that's amazing. It's Spirit. Like there's something wrong with Spirit. If you've never flown before, I imagine these people living like, it's like 1876 and they haven't even gotten indoor plumbing yet. And all of a sudden they're on an airplane.
Yeah, they've all got smartphones.
Well, that's true too, that they have smartphones. Boy, they don't make poverty like they used to, do they? No, they really don't.
Give me some good old-fashioned poverty, dang it.
I mean, well, the Hunger in America, circa 1960, with the Aaron Copland music and the distended bellies, and juxtaposed.
That don't exist. You're at more risk these days at dying from obesity-related diseases.
Yeah, type 2 diabetes.
Starving to death. Yep.
Yeah, type 2 diabetes. Yep. It's
and especially if you're poor. Especially if you're poor. It's rampant. Diabetes is rampant.
Well, speaking of which, an MSNBC guest the other day said that individuals are only about 20% responsible for their own health. Structural racism is the most significant factor in bad health, and I think, they're finally catching on that we've been killing them with Big Macs. Yeah, this woman said that on MSNBC. And remember the Twilight Zone? It's a cookbook. It's a cookbook. The warning. Well, it is. It's a cookbook. It's the recipe for a Big Mac that we're just trying to get rid of decrease the surplus population, Ebenezer Scrooge. Sure, I get it.
Well, it's bad for your health. And I mean, it's bad for your health to go out for a Subway sandwich at 3:00 in the morning when it's 20 below zero. And you tell me that wasn't about racism.
Yeah. In MAGA country, sure, we're trying to alert people. I get. And by the way, my continuing objection. Everybody's got to believe in conspiracy theory. I'm the last holdout. I've said this before. I think Jussie Smollett was set up. And you should appreciate that, since you believe everything else is a conspiracy. So anyway, all right. Have you broken any New Year's resolutions yet, Tim? You don't make them anymore.
Why bother? Why even
try? Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
I'm curious, what sort of holiday foods have you been enjoying over the last few days?
Well, I've been eating everything that's put in front of me. I've been eating pasta, which I love. Yeah. Eating a lot of chicken parmesan. I've been eating all Italian food, basically.
And ice cream.
Chocolate chip ice cream.
Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. I guess you don't really expect controversy about this.
You don't really expect hard-hitting journalism on Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve.
Nor do I. Well, no, look. First, it was Conan like the week before who did this. And I mean, I love that Conan is now Ryan Seacrest. They're the same. This cutting edge guy, Conan, really funny comic, oh yeah, you're going to be the next, you're going to be the next sellout. I mean, that's what he did too. But there was some controversy because he needed Jill to remind him about the ice cream. And
she looks like she took a header in the craft store.
It's look, I don't blame Biden for doing that. I mean, there's plenty of obsequious White House press room people who would ask the same kinds of softball questions, I'm sure.
Sure.
But yeah, that's
Sure.
but I'm glad that happened. You know, that first it was Conan and now it's Ryan Seacrest as well.
And then did you watch any of the Dick Clark's Rockin' the New Year's Eve?
I gotta tell you, this is the first time in a long time we slept right through midnight, and I didn't see anything. And if that isn't a sign of senility or senescence or whatever,
you didn't record it. You didn't record it so you could watch it later. And
well, I first of all, I made sure that my computer was okay because I'm worried about Y2K every year because I don't know why. I'm still waiting for it to happen, and it hasn't happened. And by the way, as somebody was saying, the reason that Y2K didn't happen, wasn't a disaster, was because there actually was a lot of preparation, because there were problems that were foreseeable, and they took care of those problems. So it's never too late. The statute of limitations never runs on congratulating the technicians and the people behind the scenes who made Y2K so smooth. Because I swear I was ready to, when Peter Jennings came on January 1st, 2000, I was ready for the whole thing to, just go kerblooey. But it didn't go kerblooey until September 11th of the following year. Yeah, okay, fine. So
I stuck with the Rocking the New Year's Eve until Green Day. It's
right, and I understand that Green Day changed the lyrics.
I'm not part of the MAGA agenda.
Yeah, all right, yeah, sure.
Okay, and then at that point, it's like, okay, that's enough.
Yeah. Do you remember the Green Day song "Good Riddance"? Okay, the Chicago Bulls used to play that all the time, every time, because one of the lines is, "I hope you had the time of your life."
Oh,
and
okay.
They would play that in celebration of the many Bulls championships. Each time they won one in the 90s, they only won six of those, and they would play that, and they play for other teams that won as well. But of course, the song is actually about something horrible, but for that one line in the tune. So the point is, don't ever listen to rock lyrics, especially those of Green Day. Just the tune is fine, right?
I remember it. I remember that song as the final episode of Seinfeld.
Really?
Yep.
That was okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. That's so they kind of went back. They did like little clips, like little moments from all.
I know that
because
I remember the whole button thing, which was the alpha and omega of the series, the book ending of the series, because in the first episode there was something about a shirt button, and then in the last episode there was something about a shirt button, and that is why I'm going to submit what I just said there for a doctorate in English literature at Harvard. Okay, because that's about as far as I'm going to go on that. So, in any event, so did you see where Chris Christie is taken off after Nikki Haley, because I guess he is saying now that Haley answered that Civil War question the wrong way because she didn't want to offend anyone, and he's the only one who could deny Donald Trump, and he's the only one who's taken off after Trump. But as my old pal Andy McCarthy says, except that Chris Christie has a lot of chutzpah here because he tried to get Trump elected in 2020. Now he's turning on him. So I mean, Chris Christie's the kind of guy who wants to have his cake and eat it too. Well, of course he wants to eat his cake. Yeah, but all right, that was a long route. To that
I don't even think he wants to have his cake, actually, Bruce.
Yeah,
I think.
right, both. I guess both of them.
I think he wants to eat his cake and eat it too. Yeah.
Yeah. So did you see this? All right, let's go to Epstein right now. Okay. Once again, we referenced it before, and it's in your background here today, not in your personal background, of course. Although it seems to be in everyone else's. I mean, everybody is implicated somehow. It's
well,
like
not everybody actually
degrees of Kevin Bacon.
Actually, they tried to get the one of the witnesses to admit that Donald Trump was there, and she said she never saw Donald Trump at any of Epstein's properties ever. So
right,
and they were trying hard to tie Trump to Epstein. They've
Sure.
been doing that for a while, saying, "Oh,
You
well,
sure Trump wasn't in some bed there where he got a golden shower? No, that was Russia. That wasn't Epstein's island. Yeah. So there was a part of the controversy. So Jimmy Kimmel has has gone back and forth with Aaron Rodgers, who now Aaron Rodgers isn't actually playing football anymore, but he's on this Pat McAfee, very successful. I don't know how successful it is, but I know McAfee makes a ton of money on ESPN. And Rodgers, they were talking about the Epstein list coming out, and Aaron Rodgers said, "Oh, Jimmy Kimmel should be worried about that. That the Epstein list is coming out." And Kimmel actually went public and said, I've never went, was there or anything like that, and get ready for a libel suit." And which is funny because Jimmy Kimmel works for ABC, ABC, and Rodgers was on ESPN, which is owned by ABC. It's all Disney. It's Disney versus Disney. And, I think this is what happens when you lose Mickey Mouse to the public domain. You don't have anything else anymore. And you got Disney on Disney fighting. But
yeah, it's kind of like after Stalin died, is that everybody was scrambling for the number one position.
Right. There we go. There we go. But anyway, anyway, McAfee came out and he actually apologized, I guess, on behalf of the show, because I am no libel expert, though I have read Times versus Sullivan, but it does seem like, if you accuse a guy of having sex with minors, that you could, and it's false, then you could subject yourself to a libel.
No. Here's the thing: did he actually accuse him of having sex with minors, or did he actually just say, "Yeah, you hung out with Epstein"?
I forgot what the exact words were, but which are important in a libel case. You
Sure.
should have the exact words. But it was. Let's put it this way: I think Rodgers was getting very close to crossing the line of scrimmage, as we say in the law, about that. So
now I saw a list, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it was an actual list
Yeah.
or it was a mock-up, but it was a list of names that were named in the Epstein trial or whatever that was released. Kimmel was on there.
yeah, see, he's got like a chef or a cook or something like that. I mean, everybody is connected some way. Like in one breath, you can get Harvey Weinstein, Woody Allen, and some other guy who has always been in the news.
Yeah, I'm glad you're not. I'm glad you're not mentioning pedophiles here.
Right, totally. I mean, as a matter of fact, up until this point, I've gone back and forth on Woody Allen, depending on which movie is out recently. From his, but for the last several years, I have thought that Woody Allen was innocent, that he was just a nebbish, and that Mia Farrow is just a great actress. But now that I see his name connected with Epstein somehow, even though it may be in the most tangential way, okay, let's rethink this thing right here.
Would you ever see was it the movie Manhattan, where he's
sure.
That's the one where he's dating a high school girl?
Hemingway. Yeah.
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 Yeah, he has to pick her up from school.
I mean, he did wind up marrying Soon Yi. Oh, here's what Rodgers said. Rodgers said there's a lot of people, including Jimmy Kimmel, that are really hoping that doesn't come out. Is that what it said?
The list doesn't come out. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Well, but that's that you can innocently construe that one, I guess. Doesn't mean that he was having sex with a minor. Did you see this right-wing pinup calendar? It's pretty tame, but it caused a little bit of stir because conservatives supposedly aren't supposed to, want to see girls in bikinis, I guess.
What? What?
Right, exactly. I'm thinking
apparently they haven't been into any of the mechanics shops I hung out at in the 70s.
But I'm thinking Jimmy Carter still has lust in his heart for such saucy vixens as Sherry Lewis and Phyllis Newman, according to Saturday Night Live years ago. So yeah, look, I think it's probably wrong. Here's a picture of it: Real Women of America, and it's a girl in a red, white. Now, what really bothers me is the red, white, and blue bikini. I'm so old school. I remember when Abby Hoffman appeared on the Merv Griffin show, and they mosaicked out. He was wearing a tie that was red, white, and blue, and that was considered a sacrilege. And by the way, the picture there is of Riley Gaines. But yeah. So I'm just old school. I don't like people dressing up in the colors, unless it's, a military or.
Well, it's not the colors. It's just the colors. It's not, it's not like the stars, the suit you've probably seen a bunch of times. You'll have the stars on one cup and then the stripes on the other cup. I'm just
telling you, it's old school. I'm the kind of guy who doesn't yell and scream during the national anthem at the Chicago Stadium. For one thing, the Chicago Stadium doesn't exist anymore. All right, Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
Yeah, he's like completely in love with me already. It's totally disgusting. Put the phone down! Put the phone down, please! I was like, dude, I've already started. No, Gina, turn around, please! Gina!
I'll be right back. And he's dead. Alright. Like if he was gonna harm you, you never say, I'll be right back. Because then you don't.
Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap. Look what they've done to my mouse. I mean, now that
from what I've been reading, it's really detailed on what you can and cannot use.
Yeah, the copyright ended on not everything, but
just Steamboat Willie.
Steamboat Willie. That's it. So,
which I don't think it sounds doesn't sound like a horror movie should be made. It sounds more like it should be something else.
Yeah,
but for one thing, you can't show Mickey Mouse with gloves. He has to be ungloved. If he is gloved, that's copyright. A gloved mouse is copyrighted.
But you can have the visage, right? And
well, he can wear the 2-button shorts. That's it. He can wear the 2-button shorts. You can't have him in the apprentice outfit or the pinstripe that he wears when he greets you at the Magic Kingdom.
Yeah. So were you looking for Steamboat Willie something turning into like a steamer? Is that what you were looking at? I don't know. But anyway, so there was on Twitter, there's a guy in a Mickey Mouse outfit. He's wearing an older guy with a mustache, and he's sneaking a smoke. It looks like he's in the Magic Kingdom, and he's got the head is off. And I was thinking, now anyone can play Minnie. It was Minnie Mouse, as a matter of fact. It's a guy in a Minnie Mouse outfit, and I'm thinking anyone can play Minnie now that the copyright is over. But in fairness, this was not at the Magic Kingdom or in any of the Disney properties. It was somewhere in Vegas. But I mean, he was in a Minnie Mouse costume that had to be authorized.
So
here's the video of it. So
that's not trademarked. Then no, that's that one.
But
I believe
he's
that
there. It's got the white heels, and he's smoking, and he looks a little like Jerry Colonna smoking a cigarette, and he's in the Minnie Mouse outfit, and it's terrible.
It's the one in the horror film. That one might cause some trouble because it looked like that mouse was short snouted. Because the Steamboat Willie mouse has a very long snout, which as Mickey evolved, they shortened his snout. They made his head bigger in relation to his body. They made him more baby-like, which is more appealing to people. That's if you look it up.
You are really studying. I think you just won. I think you just got yourself a doctor of a film at Harvard University, my friend. We're gonna be strolling up there. During commencement, Claudine Gay. I want to get my diploma from Claudine Gay. That's what I want to get it from her. Yeah. So, hey, Shecky Green died, and he was a local guy, went to Sullivan High School. And, you're the comedian in the pantheon of comedians. Does Shecky Green rate, above Tom Dreesen, below George Carlin? Where's Shecky Green? Are you even
I couldn't even to be honest, I couldn't even give you tell you a Shecky Green joke.
My goodness.
It's when I was coming up in comedy, if you called someone a shecky,
Right.
it was a derogatory term.
Right. It was an anti-Semitic term.
No, it had nothing. No, it had nothing to
No,
do
I
with
get
that.
it.
It just we thought when we were coming up that we were better, that we were
sophisticated.
modern. Yeah, that we didn't.
Right. And he was
We
telling
didn't do jokes. I was so cruel to the previous generation of comics that I deserve everything I get nowadays. I have a lot of bad karma coming my way.
Yeah, right. Because I know your type. You thought it was the George Carlin era and everything. It wasn't like Take My Wife, Please. It wasn't Catskillian.
Right.
It was jokes. But didn't Dangerfield then come back later? And he was like a throwback, and he had like a million one-liners that he burned up so much material on the Carson show that you didn't know how he'd ever come back. So that it kind of like was retro. It was Dangerfield was kind of retro, wasn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. He was from another time period, but for some reason he spoke to the youth of the day.
Yeah,
because he was talking about what a loser he was, and he actually he found simpatico with young men a lot.
Yeah.
A lot.
But Shecky, I actually, when I heard that he died, and it was right during the football was getting boring, I guess. So I went online and saw a couple of his routines. I mean, he does like one from a Chinese restaurant, and you couldn't do it now because you can't imitate. You can't imitate a Chinese guy or Chinese names or anything.
Did you ever see the Buddy Hackett Chinese waiter routine?
I believe I have.
Oh,
I think I have. Right, you can't do that either.
He puts a rubber band around his head to make his eyes.
Oh, gee whiz.
And I know
we know
have sprit pea soup. is
I
the
think,
tag
I
from
think
that
Alphonse D'Amato, I think Alphonse D'Amato, the politician, was the last guy to make some kind of reference, seemingly innocent, to somebody who is Asian, and got scolded for it. And that was like about 20 years ago, so you can't do that. I used to work with a woman named Nancy Liu on channel 32, and I made the mistake of saying that somebody was Oriental.
Oh,
she said Asian. And so I got corrected. But one of my favorite bits ever was, and you can go to YouTube to see this. It's not Shecky, but it's okay. I'm interviewing Ronnie Woo Woo. You ever heard of him? Ronnie Woo Woo. He's
I know who Ronnie Woo Woo is.
Ronnie Woo Woo is, I have always thought he is actually Ernie Banks. You never saw the two of them together because he walked around in a Cubs uniform all over the city. So anyway, he got to sing "Take Me Out to the Ball Game" at Wrigley Field. So we had him in our studio the next day to talk about it. And of course, I deadpanned a serious interview with him, and it was, and therein comedy ensued, of course. But my whole thing was Nancy Liu was one of the anchors of the show. So I said, I want to introduce you to Nancy Liu, Ronnie Woo, Nancy Liu. I was just doing an homage to Letterman's Oprah thing.
Oprah, yeah.
So that one I kind of got away with the Asian humor there, but you got to be very careful. Got to be respectful. So
if they change the name of that theater in
Grauman's?
No, the Oriental.
Oh yeah, it's not the Oriental anymore.
Really?
Yeah. I think it's the Hamas Theater right now. I'm not sure. It's right. No, they absolutely changed the name of that theater. Absolutely.
Well, it wasn't that long ago that it was still the Oriental, though. But
it wasn't too many years ago. So this guy named Ben Dreyfuss, I know he's a liberal piece of garbage, but he had a tweet. He says, in 2013, speaking of Asian, I forced myself to go to Benihana alone as a test of my own self-confidence. It was the most awkward hour. I then forced myself to do it a few more times. Eventually, it stopped being uncomfortable for me. It is now just uncomfortable for the families I get seated with. Now, I got it. This guy, it had to be, when he's sitting there, it was probably the greatest meeting of the minds since Jefferson dined alone with the Kerplutznik family of Toledo and their grandchildren. I mean, you're sitting there alone. I think the guy just wanted to show off his ability to catch broccoli in his mouth from a spatula. But why would anybody go to, I mean, really, what are you trying to prove by dining alone at Benihana?
It's actually a little creepy.
Yeah.
If you think about it, it's like, no, just me. Toss the shrimp. I'll catch it.
Right.
Toss the shrimp.
I mean, the whole point of going is the conviviality, the togetherness.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's just.
Speaking of Chinese restaurants, do you think that scene from the Christmas Story, do they still run that one?
You know, it's a good question. I would hate for them to edit
or
that
is that
out.
okay because they actually are Asian?
Right. I would think it's okay. So did you see? I saw this tweet, and I looked at the picture first, and I said, "Oh, I didn't realize. I thought Cesar Romero had died." It turns out Kathy Griffin has filed for divorce ahead of her 4th wedding anniversary. And I mean, we could show the picture of it. I thought the joke. I knew.
Yeah, much like the Joker in the Batman film, she puts the makeup right over the mustache. She does not shave it off.
I mean, oh God, you sure you want to file for divorce? Because I don't know that you're, gonna find another guy. I know, she had all that work done and everything, and it's very Joan Rivers-esque, what she
when
did
she
to
was
her face.
complaining right after. I mean, after she got canceled, shortly afterwards, she was canceled she was complaining about not being able to find work anymore. I talked to a buddy of mine who owns a comedy club, and I said, "Are you gonna book her?" And he said, "No, you should see her rider."
Oh, she was canceled. I mean, because of the death threat to Trump. Is that why she was?
It wasn't a death threat. Her promo picture for her Vegas run was holding a Trump mask covered with ketchup.
Yeah. No, I understand that.
And it's
kind of a Medusa head.
Sure,
but yeah,
this funny.
So, what's her ride? What did her rider have?
Private plane for starters.
To Epstein's Island. She'd take the private plane to Epstein's Island and scare Woody Allen away. No, the Joker's here. I gotta run away. Oh yeah, I'm sorry about the cat. Well, yeah. All right. So in conclusion, Shecky Green, worth revisiting for about a minute and a half. He local guy, still in high school. He was.
It's now that I've matured more, I respect the craft of the previous generation.
It's tough to come up with jokes.
It's tough to write a one-liner. I mean,
really.
it truly is. It might be minimalist, but it's the purest form. So
look, anything you guys do. It's funny because people are sitting down there and they want to laugh. To me, I always felt like I was just doing the equivalent of belching in church. Oh yeah, funny sportscaster. Well, of course, it's not supposed to be funny, And so there you go. All right, what a nice philosophical way to end today. The first show of the new year. See you at Epstein's Island next week. Bruce Wolf, Tim Slagle on the Weekly Wrap.
And that's the Weekly Wrap on radio and television. Follow Bruce at Bruce Wolf Shy on Twitter and Tim at timslagle.com. The Weekly Wrap with Bruce Wolf, a CP Pods production.